Witam ponownie z garścią interesujących rzeczy, o których warto pogadać w zimowy wieczór. Dziś opowiem Wam o 3 sytuacjach, kiedy wybitnie mądrzy ludzie powiedzieli publicznie rzeczy tak nieprawdopodobne, że brzmią jak czysta fikcja. Oczywiście wszystkie fragmenty są wynikiem skrótów myślowych popełnionych przez swoich autorów i żadne z tych zagadnień nie jest aż tak proste, jak wskazuje na to sam cytat. Jednocześnie żaden z tych fragmentów nie jest fantazją i nie rozmija się z prawdą. Zaczynamy wyliczankę. Na miejscu 3 moment w 2011 roku, kiedy wybitny matematyk Jim Gates dyskutuje z kolegami o swojej pracy nad graficznym przedstawieniem matematyki w kosmologicznej teorii strun. Ale w trakcie decyduje się wyjawić, że wszechświat dookoła nas wygląda według niego na odgórnie zaprogramowany.
I've been for the last 15 years trying to answer the kinds of questions that my colleagues have been raising. And what I've come to understand is that there are these incredible pictures that contain all the information of a set of equations that are related to string theory. And it's even more bizarre than that, because when you then try to understand these pictures, you find out that buried in them are computer codes just like the type that you find in a browser when you go surf the web. And so I'm left with the puzzle of trying to figure out whether I live in the matrix or not.
Wait, you're blowing my mind at this moment. So you're saying, are you saying your attempt to understand the fundamental operations of nature leads you to a set of equations that are indistinguishable from the equations that drive search engines and browsers on our computers?
That is correct. So
wait, I have to just be silent for a minute here. So you're saying as you dig deeper, you find computer code writ in the fabric of the cosmos?
Into the equations that we want to use to describe the cosmos, yes.
Computer code.
Computer code, strings of bits of ones and zeros.
It's not just sort of resembles computer code, you're saying it is computer code.
It's not even just is computer code, it's a special kind of computer code that was invented by a scientist named Claude Shannon in the 1940s. That's what we find very, very deeply inside the equations that occur in string theory and in general in systems that we say are supersymmetric.
Na miejscu 2 wiele momentów w ostatniej dekadzie, kiedy różni mądrzy ludzie próbowali nam wmówić, że nasza rzeczywistość jest tylko symulacją komputerową.
What I'm going to try and do is convince you you're a simulation and that physics can prove it. So there's one thing you know for certain, that is that you exist as a flesh and blood human being. My goal is to convince you otherwise. Logic is not going to be enough. You guys are going to be simulation deniers. So my actual goal will be to actually create a sliver of doubt in your minds.
Well, maybe we're in a simulation right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, seriously. Sometimes it feels like that. If you extrapolate into the future and say, well, how good, let's say, will video games be in 100 or 200 or 1,000 years from now? If there's continued improvement and you're in a full-body haptic suit with a sort of surround vision, and it becomes, beyond a certain resolution, indistinguishable from reality. And there are likely to be millions, maybe billions of such simulations. So then, what are the odds that we're actually in base reality? Obviously, this feels real, but it seems unlikely to be real. The strongest argument for us being in a simulation, probably being in a simulation, I think, is the following: that 40 years ago, we had Pong, like 2 rectangles and a dot. Now, 40 years later, we have photorealistic 3D simulations with millions of people playing simultaneously, and it's getting better every year. And soon we'll have virtual reality. If you assume any rate of improvement at all, then the games will become indistinguishable from reality. So given that we're clearly on a trajectory to have games that are indistinguishable from reality, and those games could be played on any set-top box or on a PC or whatever, and there would probably be billions of such computers or set-top boxes, it would seem to follow that the odds that we're in base reality is 1 in billions. Either we're going to create simulations that are indistinguishable from reality, or civilization will cease to exist. Those are the two options.
I na miejscu pierwszym chwila w 2015 roku, kiedy Jordi Rose, szef technologiczny firmy komputerowej D-Wave, opisuje zasady działania produkowanych przez siebie komputerów kwantowych jako sięganie do równoległej rzeczywistości.
I'm going to tell you a little bit about quantum computers and why people care so much about them. There are literally tens of thousands of some of the brightest people in the world today trying to build these machines and understand them. There are an enormous number, mind-bogglingly large number, of parallel realities, as real as this one, that have different consistent histories. So imagine a world where all of the laws of physics as we know them are obeyed, but different decisions were made along the way. Different decisions at the level of tiny microscopic particles, different decisions all the way up to what you chose to eat for lunch, and whether you chose to come to this session or not. Quantum mechanics makes a very specific prediction that all of those are as real as the thing that you remember. But science has reached the point now where we can build machines that exploit those other worlds. So you may think, well, this is all fine and dandy, but aren't these things in the realm of theory and speculation kind of in the same regime as other futuristic things you may have heard of, which may be allowed by the laws of physics but aren't here yet? That's not true. There are, in fact, many of these machines deployed now. From the outside, they look like giant black monoliths, big metal boxes, about 10 feet on a side, 12 feet tall. And they are powered, they have a fridge inside them, a refrigerator that cools these chips to almost absolute zero. At the heart of this big box is a tiny chip about the size of your thumbnail. I'm not going to describe in any mathematical detail how it all works, but let me give you an analogy. In quantum mechanics, there's this concept that a thing can exist in two states which are mutually exclusive. Imagine that there really are parallel universes out there, and now imagine you have two that are exactly identical in every respect, all the way out to the horizon as far as we can see, down to the last little atomic detail of every single thing, with only one difference. And that's the value of a little thing called a qubit on this chip, which is a contraction of quantum bit. And that qubit is very much like a bit or a transistor in a conventional computer. It has two distinct physical states, which we call 0 and 1 for bit. In a conventional computer, these are mutually exclusive. That device is either one or the other and never anything else. In a quantum computer, that device can be in this strange situation where these two parallel universes have a nexus, a point in space where they overlap. And when you increase the number of these devices, every time you add one of these qubits, you double the number of these parallel universes that you have access to. So the way I think about it is that the shadows of these parallel worlds overlap with ours. And if we're smart enough, we can dive into them and grab their resources and pull them back into ours to make an effect in our world. Now, this may sound very odd to you and bizarre, and in fact, I am using language that a normal theoretical physicist probably wouldn't use, but this is, what I'm telling you is absolutely correct and in line with the way that these things actually work.
Jeśli któryś z tych skrótów myślowych i fantastycznych tematów interesuje Was bardziej, chcielibyście zobaczyć dłuższy materiał na ten temat, piszcie w komentarzach poniżej. Jak zwykle proszę o klikanie na ikonki z kciukami i subskrybowanie kanału jako wskaźnik zainteresowania. Ode mnie na dzisiaj to wszystko i do usłyszenia za tydzień.